Welcome. On our last totally unscripted live broadcast, I was asked by a member of the community about Gmail push notifications and specifically how to get those set up. Gmail push notifications. Let's go to the Gmail API developers page. If we go to guides and where it says receive push notifications, we'll see it's talking about Cloud PubSub. Cloud PubSub is Google's cloud-based messaging queue, and this serves as the backbone for notifications from the Gmail API. Luckily, the PubSub has a really nice GUI built in to the Cloud Developers Console, so the majority of all the setup can happen right there through the Cloud Developers Console, and you don't need to mess around with any code to set up PubSub messaging channels to work for push notifications. At the very basic, you have what's called a topic and a subscription. A topic is a queue where people can place messages, and a subscription is where someone or something like your AppScript project can take the messages from a topic queue. So, for example, in this case, there is a Surface account set up specifically by Google to handle push notifications. We'll push a notification to a topic that we create, and our subscription, which would be our Google AppScript project, would receive a notification of when a message goes into that topic queue. So, to get started, let's create a new script. And we're doing this live, so we'll see how this goes. Alright, so let's call this Gmail notification live, because we're doing it live. Alright, let's get everything set up. So the first thing, let's enable the Gmail service. Let's enable Gmail service. We'll go to the Google Developers Console page. And we'll turn on, we'll enable the Gmail API. Alright, that's done. The next thing we need to do is do some configuration with PubSub. And that's right here. You can click over here and go down to the Google Cloud Platform. This will take you over to the dashboard for the Cloud Platform. See? I'm glad we caught this. There is currently, it looks like there's currently a bug that it's sending you to the wrong project. I came across this earlier today. So it's seeing how the project is called Gmail Push version 2. That's not the one that we want. So make sure that it's sending you to the right one. Let's close that down. Let's close that down. Let's relaunch that. Gmail notifications live. See, so it says that right here, library. Search for Gmail. Alright, so that's good. So now, let's go to the Cloud Platform. Yeah, it's still pushing me over to the wrong one. So let's go to see if we can. Let's close this down. I'm going to keep this in because this is stuff that you might come across once in a while. So this is the project ID. I'm going to grab this. This is for the correct one. Copy. Let's go to the Google Cloud Platform. Again, sending me to the wrong one. So I'm going to go here and paste that project ID over here and see if that will get me. Let's see. Gmail notifications live. Yeah, so as of right now, if you're going from the Gmail console, developers console, and going over to the cloud console, it is redirecting you to the wrong project. So I got over that by just pasting in the project ID myself, because it asked for the project ID, and that got me to the right one. So I might have to put a ticket in for that today. But now that we're here, I can come down here. We're going to look for PubSub. We're going to click on PubSub, and first we're going to have to enable it in your project. Alright, so it's enabled, and now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a topic. And this topic is going to be the queue that the Gmail API notification service account will put the messages into. So we'll call this Gmail trigger. Alright, and if you looked under the documentation, it says we need to create a topic. We did that. And now it says we need to grant publishing rights to the topic. And this says that we need to give publishing privileges to this service account. And make sure when you grab it, you grab the whole thing from service account all the way to the end. So we'll copy that. We'll go back to the PubSub, click here. We'll select the topic and we'll change the permission. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a member of that service account, and it says it needs to be a publisher. You see PubSub publisher. We're going to add that. Alright, so that service account is now a publisher, can now publish to our trigger. And so the next thing we want to do is create a subscription. And let's take a look at what kind of information it's looking for. So we're under the topic of the Gmail trigger, and we can call this subscription anything we want. So we could call it like like app script subscription. That sounds good. And there's two different delivery types. There is a pull and a push into an endpoint URL. Polling is your app will just on a certain time will go and just check the messaging queue, and it will retrieve messages from that messaging queue. And the other kind is push, to where the messaging queue will actually send a post notification to your web app to let you know that there is a message there, and it'll actually send you that encoded message. So today we're interested in doing a push. But unfortunately, we are not ready. We actually have to there's a little bit of work to do before we can get going on this. First thing we need to do is actually set up our push location. So if you look at go back to the Gmail API, we want to look over here, and let's look at where it says receiving notifications. Alright, so whenever a mailbox update occurs that matches your watch, which we're going to set up, we'll receive a notification. And it says this is an example notification to our server. So this is what's going to be posted to our web app. So let's go ahead. We're going to copy this, and we'll just move it over here just for reference, so we can just look at it while we're putting together. So let's see. It says that it's going to be a post, so we need to know. So we need to put a do post trigger on. Let's put a variable for our event object. And it says, let's see, it's going to be application JSON, so it's going to be coming as JSON, and this is going to be our JSON message right here. So first, we'll say that our message will be JSON dot parse, and it's going to be e dot post data. That's the data that's coming in, and the function is get data as string. That's a method on the post data property to be able to get the data from the post data. So get data as string. And so now what we have is basically this broken out right here. So now under the message, let's see, yeah, so in this post body it looks like there's two parameters or two properties, message and subscription. So let's say, for example, that you have several subscriptions pointing to the same web push endpoints. Using the subscription, you'll be able to watch to see which subscription it is and be able to run different scripts based upon whatever that subscription is. And the other is the message. So let's right now, since let's say this web app is only is going to handle one single subscription. So let's just say we're just going to take the message right here. So all this right here, we're going to dump it in the message variable. So now the next thing we want to do is we want to pull out that data. Data. It says this is the actual notification data. It is base64 URL encoded JSON. All right. So the first thing we need to do is, if it's base64 encoded, let's not URL fetch. Let's say utilities base64 decode, and what we're going to decode is the message dot data. But if you notice, base64 decode returns a byte string and not a string. So to convert a byte string into a string, you use utilities.newBlob. And if you look, newBlob, it takes in a byte string. So we pass that in, and then we can return and say get data as string, and it'll convert that byte string into a string. And so now we'll have that JSON as a string. So if we wanted to see what data is being passed to it, so we could parse this down further if we wanted to look at the individual members of this object. But in our case, we're just going to take the whole data. The whole data, will just turn it into a string and just view what that string is right there. Alright, so the next thing we should do is we need to do something with this data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new spreadsheet. I'm going to call this Gmail push log. I'm going to get let me grab the script ID from here. We'll copy that script, grab not the script ID, but the file ID. And we're gonna say spreadsheet app. We're gonna open by ID. We're gonna open that, and we're gonna open up look at sheets, and we're going to get that first sheet. So this is just some quick and dirty code just to get to demonstrate. You probably would not do this in a real production, but this is just to show how this would work pretty quickly. So now we can take that. So now we have our sheet, and now we can just append a row. So let's say, for example, we can let's put a timestamp on there. And then let's say we want to get the message ID. So that's, we can see that down there, data structure. So that is message ID. And the next thing we want to do is append the data that we broke out. Now, I'm going to do something, and may cause a lot of people to scratch their heads, but through a lot of testing around, I find this is the most correct answer for this case of returning a value to a push notification coming from Google. Just to let you know, this is not normally right. You normally would not return an integer from this. You'd usually return a value from HTML service or content service. But for some reason, when you return a value from HTML service or content service, the webhook does not acknowledge it. And if you look under push notifications, we're back on the developer's page. We have this responding to notifications. It says all notifications need to be acknowledged as per the PubSub channel guide. If using webhook delivery, then responding successfully HTTP 200 will acknowledge it. If using poll, then you just follow up with an acknowledged call, right? So using HTTP service, if you were just to return an empty string, should return a valid 200 to it, or a content service should return a valid 200 to it. It does not. For some reason, it doesn't like that. So I figured out if you just 200 is just kind of a placeholder, just so you can see what's going on. You could return that and it would work just fine. You just need to return something that's an HTML service or content service. Any other time, you would return one of those things. But for this specific case, when you're returning a value, you'd just return 200. And in fact, tell you the truth, this actually works for GitHub too. When you set up a GitHub webhook for your repository, if you're using Google Apps Script to do that, returning 200 is valid, and you can validate your GitHub webhook that way too. All right, so enough on that. It looks weird. If you know what you're looking at, it's going to look wrong, but I promise you this will work. All right, so the next thing we need to do, we don't need this anymore. Let's go ahead and kill this. We need to publish this as a web app. We're going to deploy this as a web app. We'll call it version 1. It's going to execute as me, and anyone, even anonymous, is going to have access to it. And let's go ahead and deploy it. It's going to ask me to authorize. Yeah, because I'm going to open up a spreadsheet. All right. So now we have that web app posted. So now what we need to do we'll come back to this. We need to go over to API Manager, Credentials, and right over here you're going to see this thing called Domain Verification. and you'll see this notice. It says you need to verify domain ownership to allow webhook notifications to be sent to your external domains. It considers AppScript an external domain. So as of right now, there's only one way to verify ownership, and that is to publish it to the Chrome store. There is another method that is coming online, being able to pass a tag and pass a meta tag back to Webmaster Tools. But as of right now, there's an open issue on that as it doesn't work properly. So as of right now, what you would do is to verify domain ownership, we're going to go to Publish, and we're going to click Register in Chrome Web Store. And we're going to click Register Web App. And we're going to give it a few seconds. This might take 30-45 seconds. So just bear with me while this goes on. Okay, that was quick. It says this project has been registered in the Chrome Web Store. The new store item is in draft mode. Draft mode means it's not listed in the Chrome Web Store at all. And it's just kind of sitting waiting for you to publish it to the web store. As it is right now, you can just leave it. Nothing else has to be done at this point. Alright, so now what we need to do is, now that you've verified your web app, go ahead and grab the current web app URL, and we're going to go ahead and launch it. And you're going to get this cool error. Says no do get. That's true. There is no do get. But what you're going to notice is that it's going to redirect it to this URL. Whatever URL it redirected it to, this is the URL that was verified under Webmaster Tools by publishing it to the Chrome Web Store. So what you're going to do is you're going to copy everything up to the slash. We're going to leave off the slash exec at the end. We're going to copy that, come back to domain verification. We're going to click Add Domain. Go ahead and paste that in there, making sure that it ends at the slash and you didn't grab the exec, because that will cause everything to fail later. So we're going to click Add Domain, and there it is. It's now a verified domain inside this project, and it's only this project only. If you want to use this somewhere else as a webhook location somewhere else, you would have to add it as a domain verification to your other project. So now we can go back to PubSub. We look at the Gmail trigger, and let's add a new subscription. So we're going to call this AppScript subscription. We're going to specify push endpoint URL. And let's go ahead, and what we want to do is get the whole URL now. We're going to copy the whole thing, including the exec. So just in case you close that down again, where you would get that from is you go to your deployed current web app URL, copy it, go ahead and launch it, and it's going to redirect you to a domain specific one. You go copy that whole thing, and that's going to be your push endpoint. And go ahead and hit create. Alright, and if you look down here, it's going to check. There it is. There's your new subscription. So now your script is now a subscriber. It's going to subscribe to those notifications. Alright, so now what we need to do is we need to enroll your Gmail account to that specific topic, or we need to enroll your email to that topic. So let's make a new function. I cannot type. And this is going to use the Gmail. Let's see, resources, advanced. Did we not turn that on? Drive, Gmail, on. And I know it's already in. Alright. So the first thing we're going to do is let's go take a look at what it wants. Let's look at the push notification. It's always good to look at the reference table here. So we're back in the Gmail API. Look at the reference, users. We're going to look at watch. And it says that it's going to look for a user ID, and it's going to look for these three properties inside the request body: label IDs, label filter action, and a topic name. Label IDs are labels that are built into Gmail. Labels, so if you want to find out what these are, this is exactly how I did it. I just went to the search bar up here, labels, search for them, and I saw this link, managing labels. And right here it says type of labels. And these are the different labels that you have inside your Gmail. These are considered system reserved labels right here. So you'll have things like inbox, spam, trashed, unread, starred, important, sent. These are all labels that are automatically applied to your different messages and threads inside your Gmail account. As of right now, custom labels do not work. If you were to pass the custom label ID, say for example you want to send a notification whenever you get a message that gets a custom label applied to it, that does not work. It only works with those built-in labels. So that's what those labels are. You can just pass an array of the different labels, and then you're going to specify what action. So say for example, this is the action of what you wanted to do with that notification. So say for example you pass in spam folder, and you pass the action is include. What you're telling it is anytime something gets labeled as spam inside my Gmail account, I want to include that inside the notification as a notification. Or you want to say if you do not want items such as spam showing up as a notification, you could put as a label, you could add it as spam, and then you add it as an exclude. And now it's being excluded from action, so it won't send a notification based upon that now. And then the topic name, this will be the pub sub topic that you have already set up, that we already set up. Alright, so let's get that going. So it's Gmail, users, watch. Alright, so it's saying that the watch is looking for a watch resource. So watch resource, so Gmail new watch request. So that's what the resource is called, is a watch request. So the watch resource, there's the three things. There's the array of label IDs, topic name, and the filter action. So the first thing let's tell it which labels to notify on. And for example, let's just say inbox. So anything that goes into my inbox, and the action let's go back to the documentation. Those two is exclude or include. So we're going to say anything that is labeled inbox, we'll include it. So we want to get a notification upon that. And the topic name that we're going to be watching is going to come from over here. This is the topic that we already set up. Alright, so the resource that we're going to pass to it is watch resource. And we're going to say that's my email account. Alright, and then let's just log the response. Alright, let's go ahead and click enroll email, and should ask for permission because I'm now trying to use Gmail, so it needs access to that. And let's see the log. View logs. Alright, history ID, and there's the expiration. So there is an expiration when you enroll an email account to generate notifications. Let's go. If we go back to guides, receive push notifications. Let's click on limitations. Let's see. Right here, renewing. Okay, right, renewing mailbox watch. So right here, it says you must call watch every 7 days or else you will stop receiving updates for this user. I guess this is generally true, but I've had notifications showing up on an account that's been going on for months, and I have not called watch again. But otherwise, for example, you could just set up a trigger to recall watch if you need to do that. So it says every 7 days. That's probably good, but I've seen it go for months and months without it expiring. And so now let's actually go over to our log, and if you look, we are actually already getting events. So let's see. Let's take a look at what the Gmail is sending us. Let's see. There's the timestamp. There's the message ID. And here it says it sends me the email address and the history ID. So what you need to do is you're going to get this history ID. So as of right now, we have Gmail notifications going on. So for example, I'll pull up my Gmail account right here. Let's send another message to myself. Go to my push log, and there they are. So we're getting notifications coming in from events that's happening inside my Gmail account. And what you could do is you take this, for example, this history ID, right here. And of course, you do all this programmatically. I'm just doing this quick just to kind of give you a quick and dirty of how you would look at this. Gmail users history. list, user ID would be me. And your optional args, let's go take a look at the reference, users, history, list, and it looks like it's called Start History ID. We'll just paste that history ID right in there, and we'll just log the results. And we'll see what it says there. Let's click check history. Take a look at the logs. And you'll see that here it is. It gives you the history. It gives you the thread. It gives you the messages. And from there, of course, you could, for example, if you wanted to, here's all the messages that's inside that thread. And then if you want to keep breaking it down, then you can go down and grab the messages from that, and it's pretty easy to go through and check all these messages using the users messages.get, and you just keep going down if you want to read exactly what they're saying. Another quick way of doing this, just to kind of test it out, for example, user history list. You can come down here at the bottom of the developer's documentation page. You can they got the OAuth playground kind of just built into the bottom of it down here, so you can come in here, start history ID, and you could say, like, for example, so here's this whole thing to actually just print it out pretty nice, and here's all the messages. Let's say, for example, I want to grab this message. All right, so we can grab that's first message in the chain, or let's go to this last message in the chain. Then we go over here, users, messages, get. If you look at the bottom down here, here's another one right down here. And here it is. It breaks down all the messages in the chain and all the information. So it's pretty easy to get the response. It looks like it's sending you the history ID. From the history ID, you can get the list of the history, and then you can go down and break down each individual message part of that. But that's push notifications, kind of quick and dirty. There, it really only takes a couple lines of code to get the Gmail push notifications, and once you kind of know the workflow, it's pretty quick and pretty easy to set up. If you have any questions, you can ask me in the Google Apps Script community. And well, thanks for watching.